Hello and welcome, and today we're going to look at painting the Dakota Bob Brubaker from Great Escape Games. This is one of the characters from their Dead Man's Hand game. Now I'm going to try and copy the box art, but only using the paints that I've got in my selection already, so I'm not going to buy any new paints. But I hope he's going to look as good as this, if not fairly close, or something to the standard that I'll be able to put on the gaming board and be happy with. So let's see how this goes. Now I'm not going to show you me painting this figure, as I find it very difficult to have the camera around and me painting at the same time. So I was going to show you how I did it by description, and then also I'll put the captions of colours I used to get to this effect. So as you see, I've started the skin tone after spraying it with a black and then, with the grey primer. And then I went over with another white primer from above, trying to get that shadow effect, which didn't work quite well, but it's a start. So for the basic, for the skin, I use a brown sand from Vallejo for the basic, which I covered over the arms and face. And then I use the highlight of the basic skin tone from Vallejo. And I just blended this in stages, so a little bit added to the brown sand, then go over paces. And then carry on blending it until I got to the real peaks of his kind of tip of his nose and knuckles to the basic skin tone itself. After that, I used a Citadel right clan flesh shade to make the shades up, and diluted it down again to kind of blend in the highlights within the basic skin tone that was there. So that worked really well for me, and then obviously after that I have to do the eyes. Now I never use white for the eyes, I think it's too daunting, so I used a Citadel Wraithbone for the eyes, for the whites of the eyes, and then I used black for the iris and pupil as a one little dot or bigger dot, and then I went around the edges with black to help darken it a bit with his kind of hat on top of his head. I thought makes it a little bit more shady for him, and I think it turned out okay. Remember, you're watching this figure from about 3 feet away while you're gaming, so it doesn't have to be as absolutely perfect. You're not doing 1/35 scale. This is for a gaming model, not for competition. So at the moment I'm quite happy with it is. And now for the fun bit of what I did was the 5 o'clock shadow, or the unshaven look. Now I used a dark blue Model Air from Vallejo, which is I think it's RLM24. And you just put one, you really dilute it down, and if you put one layer on, it's kind of fairly clean shaven. 2 layers not shaven at all, and so the darker you go, the more layers you put on, the darker it looks. But I really love this effect, and I'd give it a go if I was you, because it does make a hell of a difference to his face. And then for a final look at his face and his skin for his arms and hands, just before I move on to the next step, as you can see, that 5 o'clock shadow really does work if you're wanting that kind of unshaven look. He has got a moustache anyway, but it just basically looks better. Now the next part is the trousers and the jacket, which was a black grey from Vallejo yet again, which is 70862. So as you can see, I did the buttons on the tunic with just a kind of brassy brass colour, and for the highlighting of the jacket and the trousers, again a bit of deck tan with the black and grey in stages, blending it in, a little bit of deck tan to start with, and then round the edges kind of a lot more of the deck tan as opposed to the black and grey. Worked out okay. And following on from that, as you can see, I've just started the sleeves, and for the sleeves I used a green Middlestone blended in with a pale sand colour. Now if you remember the box art, which I shall use, or you'll see at the end of the video, it was a kind of a greenham shirt with a kind of brown stains on it, probably from sweat and mud. So as I said, I'm only using the paints I've got in my collection, so I have got a few greens, but the kind of Middlestone with a mix of the pale sand kind of made it a kind of a dull light green, and I kind of shaded it with a bit more middle stone with some Agrax earth shade, just to make it a bit more grimy. And then I followed on with the hat. For that I use kind of a khaki grey, which is a Vallejo colour again, and again use a bit of an Agrax earth shade for making it shady or darker, and with a black rim around the edges, around the centre to hold the hat in, as you can see. And then I'd highlighted it with a kind of a pale sand around the edges for the highlights, to let it stand out a bit. And then I put a little dark wash of black around the rim of the hats, where where the band of the hat is wrapped around the head of the hat. So as you can see there, so as you can see, it's coming together nicely now, and not quite there yet. But now we're doing the belts. As you can see, I've just started the belts, and this is where I'll show you the belt colours. So for the base, I just did an Iraqi sand covering, and then I covered it with PVA glue, and then sprinkled it with sand that I have. And now that will match the game board I have, which is a sand game board with the houses on top and the saloons, etc. So I think it would be a great addition to my wargaming table. Did I have fun doing it? Yes, I definitely did. I normally do a kind of group painting where I just paint all the kind of the basics. So I did all the basic skin tones, the brown sands and the highlights on a lot of figures. But then I always paint them individually, because they are kind of individual characters, particularly in this particular Dead Man's Hand game. They're not kind of masses of troops, so I always do them singly. Does he look like the final figure in the box art? I don't know. I shall let you be the judge of that, but I am happy with the way he turned out. There he is behind or in front of the general store, ready to shoot out. And there's the final figure in my hand, and I'll compare it to the box art and see what you think. I'm happy the way it turned out. Whether it's the same as the box art, no, it's not exactly the same, but to me, I'm well happy to put him on the table any day. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and please see my other videos for other content. Cheers. Bye bye.